I wasn't looking at my clock, but I'd say within the same hour.
And both of those threats occurred while you were on the 59th Street property?
The second threat happened at the corner, and the first threat happened towards Ruther Central High School.
Okay, could you use that laser pointer and point out on that map where the first threat occurred?
The first threat happened right here in front of the building.
So you're pointing at a location that is by the 59th Street car source on the south side of that property, along the building and Sheridan Road, on the west side of the road. Would that be accurate?
Yes.
Okay. And you said there was a second threat within an hour after that, correct?
Yes.
Where was that threat at?
It was somewhere over here, I remember, like on the other side of the property, towards Ruther Central.
More towards the northeast corner of that same property.
Correct.
But you were still on the car source property when that second threat was allegedly made, correct?
Yes.
Did you remember what Mr. Rosenbaum had said to you later on when he's confronting you at the 63rd Street car source?
I took a mental picture of his face. When he said those threats, I recognized that was him that said that when he started chasing me.
So when you are running away from him at the 63rd Street car source, you're thinking to yourself, this is the guy who had made a threat to me earlier. Is that fair to say?
I was thinking this is the guy that said if he catches me alone, he'll kill me as I'm running away from him.
The reason I asked Mr. Rittenhouse is, how did you know it was the same guy when he's changed the way he looks?
His appearance, the shorts, his height.
But in both of those instances that you've described, he's got something covering his face, either the blue bandana in one instance or the red shirt in a different instance, correct?
He was wearing the red shirt when he chased me around his head.
So you remember that from the second time that you say he threatened you?
Yes.
And you thought to yourself, this is the same guy?
Yes.
So when you eventually were getting to the point where you're going down to the 63rd Street car source, right before the shooting, you recognized him as you're following him down the street, didn't you?
I didn't follow Mr. Rosenbaum down the street.
He was in front of you. You know that now, right?
I know that now.
But you didn't see him ahead of you as you're walking down there that night?
No, it was dark out.
But you, at some point as you get close to the 63rd Street car source, start running towards that lot, right?
Towards the fire that in the Duramax.
And Mr. Rosenbaum is running ahead of you, isn't he?
I don't believe so.
But you decided you needed to run because of the fire on the Duramax?
Yes.
Why? What was so urgent?
It was a fire.
There's fires all over the place, so?
I was getting to the fire to put it out.
We'll get back to that in a second. You indicated that while you were at the 59th Street car source, you said you put out a fire at the church next door. Is that right?
Yes.
Did you hear Joanne Fiedler's testimony yesterday that when you guys went over there, somebody had put some sort of flammable liquid on the door? Did you hear that testimony?
I did. I believe that was referring to the Ruther Central High School.
Okay, so when she described it as happening at the church, you think she was getting it confused?
Yes.
Say yes? Okay. So whatever happened with this flammable liquid on the door, the point is some other group, some other people put that out before you even got there, correct?
Correct.
Why did you feel that you should go around off the 59th Street car source property and put out fires?
To make sure my community didn't get burnt down and help.
And when you say your community, you mean Kenosha?
Yes.
Again, you're from Antioch. You're not living in Kenosha at this time when this all happens, right?
My dad lives in Kenosha.
Lots of people live in Kenosha, but you didn't, right?
My residence was in Antioch.
Okay. But you felt like you wanted to do things to protect this community. Fair?
The community that I was part of, yes.
And you felt like it was appropriate for you to take matters into your own hands to put out fires, for example.
To put out fires by using a fire extinguisher, yes.
Even though they weren't on the 59th Street property, correct?
Correct.
And were there other things that you decided it would be appropriate for you to go out there and take care of off the 59th Street property that night?
I was walking around and asking people if they needed medical help.
So you felt that you wanted to go out and help people, help protect people, help people feel better, treat people, things like that, even off the 59th Street property.
Provide first aid.
Normally in our regular society, that's something that we call 911 for, right?
Normally, yes.
Where are we headed?
I think that the defendant's decisions to go off that property and involve himself in other matters are relevant, Your Honor.
Well, I'll let you pursue it, but
And that's exactly how these shootings happen. So,
well, that's what the trial is about.
which is why I think it's relevant.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Normally, we would, if there's a fire, if there's somebody committing a crime, you call 911, right?
Normally, yes.
You didn't feel like you could do that night, correct?
I don't think that, I saw from the nights prior that the fire department wasn't responding to put out fires.
Well, the nights before, there were businesses on fire along 22nd Avenue. There's the car source, large-scale property fires on the prior nights, correct?
Yes.
On the night of August 25th, we didn't have any fires like that. We just had a couple dumpsters, smaller things, right?
That I saw, yes.
I didn't hear you, sir.
That I saw, yes.
But regardless of how big the fire is, you felt that night that calling 911 was not an option, correct?
I didn't feel that if I called 911, anyone would show up.
Which is why you decided to take care of it yourself, correct?
To provide first aid and put out fires.
To do the things that normally we would expect the police or the fire department to do, correct?
To help people, yes.
Could you please move that microphone a little closer so we can make sure we hear everything you're saying? You can adjust it if you need to move it a little closer. Thank you.
Let me permit me to interrupt for just a moment. How's the temperature? How many are comfortable the way things are? Okay, I won't even ask the other side. See you ice cubes, there's nothing to worry about. It must be blowing differently here. Go ahead, Mr.
You came to Kenosha that night armed with the AR-15 and no other ways to physically defend yourself, correct?
I had an AR-15, yes.
Other than that, you had no other weapons or devices that you could use to defend yourself that night, correct?
Yes.
There's an interview in which you say you're not carrying anything non-lethal. Do you recall that?
I do.
You indicated in response to one of your attorney's questions that there was no friction with the protesters that night. Did I understand you correctly?
By friction, you mean?
Well, I'm using your words, sir. I heard you say, in response to your attorney's question, that there was no friction with the protesters that night. Did I hear you correctly?
Yes.
And you're describing what you observed when you were at the 59th Street car source. Fair enough?
Yes.
So based on your several hours at that location, it seemed to you as though the crowd of, however you want to describe them, they've been called rioters, protesters, demonstrators, and you, things were fine. No tension, no friction, no nothing. Fair to say?
For the most part, other than Mr. Rosenbaum,
He was the only one
that threatened, yes.
that you saw.
Yes.
Can we please play exhibit number 18 at the 1 hour and 22 second and 22 minute and 14 second mark? Okay. Can you please play from this point?
And militia are up there.
Yeah, we got a fire.
Where? Oh, dumpster fire?
Yeah, just a dumpster fire. Hey, it's just like the year, man.
Yeah, right? If 2020 was a blunt, it would be just a fucking stem.
It would just be stand and see, man.
I could use a doobie right now.
All right, let's.
Morning. How's it going? You guys want to fuck around and find out?
Hey.
You want to
Reel in.
That's what's up.
Reel in. Don't cause problems when there's none here. Yeah, that's true. Just stay on your property. Otherwise you're gonna there's way too many of them there. I have to agree with her. I have to agree with her. Yeah, they shouldn't be on the street.
Hey.
They're just protecting their property. One of the guys is an asshole.
I know. I thought they were yelling at them. I was like, why?
Oh, no,
These guys
well,
Well, we did because they lit it on
One
fire.
of the guys losing his patience. He should go inside.
Yeah, that's what we're about to send him.
Yeah, if you guys could switch him out. Just that somebody's a loose cannon. He's got a lot of rage. He says the wrong thing. This whole crowd burns you guys alive. Protect your property. They're respecting that. Just keep it there.
Hey, let's keep it moving, guys. We're not gambling. Fuck the police. Let's go.
Dude, he's just trying to protect his property.
Do you think that looks like friction?
A little bit.
And you witnessed that, didn't you?
I didn't witness what Mr. Collette did. I didn't see that.
But you saw the reaction from the crowd, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I wasn't really paying much attention to that.
Would you agree with me that it seems that the crowd was reacting to members of your group going out in the street and trying to interfere with what was going on
don't think they were happy about it.
And in fact, Kriston Harris, who made this video, specifically told you to stay on your property and not go out on the street and try and put out fires or interfere with any of that stuff. Just protect your property. Isn't that what he told you?
I believe so. I was just going to grab the garbage can, the dumpster that belonged to the car source that was on the car source property.
This is before you headed south towards the 63rd Street car source, right?
Yes.
This is before you decided to go down there with a fire extinguisher, correct?
Yes.
This is before you shot Mr. Rosenbaum, Mr. Huber, Mr. Grosskreutz, and at the person that was jumping over you, correct?
Yes.
So you knew that this was a crowd that would not react very favorably to you going out there and trying to put out fires or interfere with any of that stuff. You knew that, didn't you?
I didn't.
Even after that incident, you still didn't have any idea that this is a crowd that's not going to take it very well.
It seems like they were more mad at the part of him screaming what he screamed after, not putting out the fire. That's what it seemed like to me.
And he screams to them, "Fuck around and find out," right?
That's what he screamed to them.
After they had just tried to light a dumpster on fire, right?
Yes.
So what did you interpret that to mean?
I don't know. I didn't witness in the time. I just grabbed the dumpster a minute after and tried to pull it onto the property.
Because it seems to me he's saying, you light stuff on fire, and I'm going to use my gun.
Your Honor, that's a total
I'll withdraw the question.
Doesn't matter what it seems to you, it's
Your Honor,
clear.
I guess need not ask the questions and then withdraw.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what it seems to you. You can ask your questions, that's fine, go ahead.
It was shortly after that incident that we just watched where you were interviewed by Richie McGinnis, correct?
Yes.
And you said you've never heard of him, never dealt with him before this night?
I have not.
Okay. So why did you talk to him?
He seemed like a nice guy.
Did he introduce himself as from the media?
He didn't specifically said, "Hey, I'm from the media." He was like, "Hey, do you want to do an interview?"
And when you heard him ask you to do an interview, you didn't think that meant he's from the media?
No, it's not what I said. I said he didn't specifically say he was from the media.
Okay, but you assumed when he says, "I'm going to interview you," that he's from the media, right?
Yes.
And did he tell you he's from the Daily Caller?
He did not.
So you didn't know what media company he worked for?
Correct.
But you agreed to have him interview you on camera, correct?
Yes.
Can we please play exhibit number 16? That one up there?
What are you doing out here? Obviously, you're armed and you're in front of this business we saw burning last night. So, what's up?
My job, that's all. There's somebody running around.
And what about these other folks? I see there's some other people who are armed as well. Gotcha. And then what about these guys up on the roof? Gotcha.
In that video, you indicate that you have your AR-15 to protect yourself, correct?
Yes.
And you indicate that you're going to run out there and treat anyone who needs medical help, correct?
Yes.
Were you going to bring the gun along when you did that?
Yes.
To defend yourself while you're treating someone?
If I needed to defend myself while treating somebody, yes.
If you didn't think there was friction with the crowd and you're out there trying to help, why did you expect there'd be any danger?
From the previous nights when I saw people being assaulted.
Were they medics being assaulted?
I don't know who they were. I know one of them was just trying to put out a fire at his business.
So you saw someone put out a who was trying to put out a fire who got assaulted?
Yes.
But if you're going to help people, why would you expect anyone would try and hurt you?
I don't know. Somebody did try to hurt me, and I was helping people.
Well, you're talking about later on.
Yes.
Okay, but at this moment in time, this is before the shootings.
Yes.
This is before you cross 60th, before you deal with Rosenbaum, Huber, Grosskreutz, all that, right?
Yes.
So at this moment in time, you don't think there's a hostile crowd, you're there to help people, and yet you're going to run out there with the AR-15. I don't understand why you felt that you were going to be in danger if you're out in what you think is a friendly crowd, helping them.
I didn't say I didn't think they were hostile. I didn't think they were hostile towards us.
Okay, so they're not hostile to you and you're going to go help them. Why do you need the gun when you go out there?
I need the gun because if I had to protect myself because somebody attacked me.
Why would you think anybody would do that?
I don't know.
But you clearly planned on it. You were prepared for it. You thought it was going to happen.
No, I didn't.
That's the whole reason you brought the gun, isn't it?
I brought the gun to protect myself.
Exactly. Because you thought you personally were going to be in danger, right?
Not necessarily.
I don't understand. You said you're going to bring the gun to protect yourself. So you thought you were going to be in danger, right?
I didn't think I would be put into a situation where I would have to defend myself.
You said that the people around you on that property and the people up on the roof were there to protect you. That's what you said in the video, right?
Yes.
You meant when you go out in the crowd, they're going to protect you, right?
Watch over me, yes.
Watch over and protect you, right?
Yes.
Again, because you expected that if you go out in that crowd to try and provide medical service, you thought you were going to get attacked?
They were to watch me. They were on the roof to watch me, and if somebody was to attack me in their view, they could say, "Hey, Kyle, watch out."
They've got AR-15s.
Yes.
We talked earlier about the fact that the AR-15, you can't use deadly force to protect the building, right?
Correct.
The AR-15 was to protect you, right? That's what you just said.
Not the AR-15. I said they could shout down to me and be like, "Hey, Kyle, watch out."
So they're just carrying around the AR-15s for no reason?
I don't know why they're carrying around the AR-15s.
Can we play exhibit? This is the end. At the end of this video is where you invite Mr. McGinnis to follow you and Ryan Balch, correct?
Yes.
And you invited him to do that because you want, I think you said when your attorney was asking you questions, that you wanted him to film you while you were out in the crowd doing your thing. Fair?
Yeah, I said it was okay for him to film me.